Because right now, as it stands, there almost isn't a shot to score one here.
It looks like lots of good things can happen from this. There are a ton of red catchers on either side of the 4-foot that even if they're just a little bit off, lots of good things can happen still. So tons of opportunity here for Team Deschiffart to set themselves up to at least score here in the fourth end, which is probably what they'd be looking for now. So we're having the curl sweep on this as it's approaching the center line. Just driving it by all the rocks in the house, but rolling her shooter up to the top of the rings. Open there off to the side, but maybe not the best result and the result that Emma was looking for. Terren, I really loved her choice of weight there too, and I'm surprised that didn't come up, but she didn't throw it with excessive amounts of speed. She chose a lighter weight, keep that shooter in play, but yeah, it didn't come up for her there, and so that center line is posing a little bit tricky for our teams here today.
Absolutely. It is definitely a tricky spot. And that just goes to show the level of experience that Emma has at skip, opting to throw the lighter weight when I feel like a lot of teams would throw too much at that shot.
So Darby McMillan with her last stone here in the fourth end, trying to replace that guard. And it just overcurls the center line there, leaving most of that red rock, almost all of it open, and the button too as well.
There is a shot there now to score, but it is very difficult and carries quite a bit of risk with it.
Now I'm looking at the overhead, Terren, and I mean, the overhead is one thing, and being there in person is another. But do you think there's an opportunity for Deschiffart to score too on that little half rock double there off to the side?
I think you might be able to get two throwing a soft weight through the hole here. If you can throw something like maybe a hack crossface, hit half a rock of that red one, you might keep your back yellow for two.
Now, of course, we don't have the greatest view, but it does look like that red rock is sitting somewhere near the face, so it might catch a little bit of that yellow. But you're right, I think a soft weight hit here might keep that yellow in play just enough. Although the broom that she put down makes me think that she's playing a little bit of weight at this and securing her 1 point for sure. Emma Deschiffart with her final stone here in the fourth end of our draw number 2, looking to score a point to get her team back ahead by a couple. This rock is over curling, and okay, catches the high one, and it is just a single steal for Team McMillan. Team McMillan is going to tie up the game here at the halfway point, and after a little bit of a break, we will come back to you with live coverage of the 2025 Curling Alberta Optimist U18 Curling Championships. We'll see you in a few minutes. We welcome you back to the 2025 Curling Alberta Optimist U18 Curling Championship in Leduc, Alberta, brought to you by Curling Stadium Live. My name is Evan Asmussen, and I am joined by Terren Algot as we are presenting our feature game in draw number 2 of Team Deschiffart versus Team McMillan. A tie game at the halfway mark going into lead stones. And out of all of the chaos of the ends that we are privy to, Terren, this has been a game so far, hasn't it?
It's been a very action-packed game so far, seeing a lot of rocks in play as both these teams seem to play quite aggressive.
And that aggressive play has benefited so far Team McMillan in being able to claw their way back into this game after giving up 3-under in the first end. It's been really interesting to see some of these ends unfold.
Definitely makes for some interesting curling to watch.
Now, Terren, I was trying to decide if the center line was just a little bit peaked for these teams, but it maybe is something different. And I think maybe the sheet is a little bit slanted to, I guess it would be the left as we see it now on our presenting screen.
It does look like there's a bit of a slant, and we just saw one of the first applications I've seen of the no-tick rule. That center line rock will go back. Since it was on the center line, it cannot be moved off of the center line until the free guard zone is over. So that yellow rock does get removed, and McMillan has a great chance to draw under their guard and sit one.
Now, and that's something too when we talk about navigating ice conditions and learning about the sheet and the sheet shape and its speed too as well. That one side, the right side of our screen right now, is presenting to be a little bit curlier, and with that tick rule in play, it does really put a lot of precision into the lead's hands and into the skip's tactics too as well, to make sure that that rock gets by without touching that center line if it's made by the opposition.
And that rock just rolling a little too far for Riley Deschiffart. Still a great result, though.
Terren, I've always found as a career lead, I shouldn't say a career lead, but definitely into adult play, playing lead for most of my career so far, that having to play those hack waders kind of within the 4-foot, there's a ton of variables that come into play. And so that is a pretty good outcome for Riley here leading into the 5th end. So Kendall Ferguson, trying to make an attempt at removing that yellow stone, peels off her own centerline guard and gives Deschiffart the opportunity to separate and spread out those rocks across the rings.
If this draw can be made here, it'll be a great opportunity for Team Deschiffart to score a deuce in this end, sitting that split house.
Now, Terren, in our last game, Abby Whitbread and Haley and myself, we had a conversation about splitting the rings here at the early stages of the end. And we noticed that in our previous draw that it became very difficult to maintain the separation for so many rocks. And it'll be really interesting to see if Deschiffart is able to hold on to this split house, recognizing that there are still a few rocks left to come down the sheet.
Completely agree with you, Evan. When you end up with a split house this early in the end, it is often very difficult to convert that into a deuce, needing to make your next, 5-6 shots in a row. And I think Emma just opted to split the house there because her rock was on the center line, and she doesn't want, with hammer, to throw a center line guard on top of it. I think she would have opted for a guard, though, if it was in the wing.
So Kendall Ferguson removing the Yellowstone out of play along the center line, but also taking her shooter with it, giving an opportunity for Deschiffart to really split the rings now here and create a ton of separation, and with it a ton of pressure too as well. So that stone just slips behind the tee line. And now we notice that though there is a ton of separation across the rings, that there is a little bit of a natural angle for a good hit and roll. McMillan still electing to hit the rock recently thrown, but I might be tempted to, in place of this, have thrown and hit the other outside one with the opportunity to roll into that rock that was just thrown by Team Deschiffart at the back of the 8-foot.
I agree with you, Evan. I think that's what I would have opted to play, hitting and rolling off of that top yellow, hoping to group the yellow rocks for maybe a double later on in the end.
In Terren, and that just comes with playing a little bit more and, having those more big game experiences so far, but also sometimes, even though the most experienced teams out there make those little mistakes, it's also taking a look at the whole picture of what you're trying to accomplish for the end too as well. And it's just those little shot selections that can change the outcome.
And Evan, it can be difficult sometimes when you're not on the ice to tell, the reason why a certain team might play a certain shot. But a lot of times it comes down to preference from a certain path in the ice or a thrower wanting to throw a different weight. So, at the end of the day, the best shot is the one you make.
So Charlie McMillan taking another attempt down this path here, and it looks like she's been caught now twice on the over curl, just chiseling that top one there, and leaving Team Deschiffart with the hammer, now throwing with 3 rocks in the rings, and in a pretty good position here. Terren, where's the ideal spot for this? Now, we talked about congesting stones, but there's lots of them in there.
I agree with their call here. Trying to get it over to the side there. Maybe think best would maybe be just behind T. Don't want to set up any doubles or rolls or maybe a pocket to draw into.
So an attempt to put another stone in play, which I believe Sarah just comes up a little bit light. And this does create an opportunity for Darby McMillan to attempt the run double, but there also is an opportunity, if she misses that, to roll underneath that corner guard just thrown by Team Deschiffart. It'll be interesting to see how this team, Team McMillan, takes the information they've had out of Charlie's shots to try to produce a positive outcome for themselves here. Inside sweeper, the straight sweeper as we'd call it on the curl. Trying to hold that. There is the roll. The double is missed, and it rolls underneath it all. And that is one thing I
Fantastic
saw.
roll.
Yeah. Wow. And once that rock ended up being tight to the rings, that always was an opportunity.
think that's a good example of why communication between the third and skip is so important, because you saw the third get caught out twice in that spot with it over curling. So then they go down, they communicate with the skip that it's curling out there. They take a little ice, maybe give a little more release, and just fantastic result there. Great adjustment.
And now after a relatively simple end for Team Deschiffart, they do have a little bit of pressure. This is a little bit more of a complex shot out into the wings, but they've just been throwing draws for the last little bit. So this is a change of pace, and a good change of pace for Darby McMillan. She puts a little bit of pressure on Team Deschiffart here. Sweeper's really trying to hold this straight. They do need to hit this rock on the high side to make sure it has contact on the back red. Just over curling, but not a bad result as it rolls to the side of the forefoot. That being said, it looks like it's mostly exposed.
Definitely the pro miss there for Emma Deschiffart, because now, the yellow's still sitting too. Although they did not remove the red stone, they're still set up for their deuce.
Now, if there's any time to make a shot for Team McMillan, this would be the time now to make sure that they have not only contact with that, but they got to hit it in the right spot. Anything high here, and that yellow does look like it has the potential to jam. Oh, she fell.
Oh no.
Oh no. Okay. Sweeper's trying to get the most out of this. We're getting a curl sweep here. It's going to hit the high side, but how high is it going to hit? Jams, makes a double,
Wow.
picks out her own.
That's impressive, I gotta admit.
Totally takes away the end from Team Deschiffart as the only remaining stone in play other than the red stone just thrown by Darby McMillan is the tight guard that was left out there by Team Deschiffart. What a turn of events. And you know what, Terren? You wouldn't have been able to call it even if you tried.
Sometimes when teams make those against you, you just gotta laugh and keep going. Good on her for still making the shot despite taking a tumble on the slide.
Emma Deschiffart with the blank opportunity here in end number 5 to regain control of the hammer going into the 6th end. No fail, shot made, and Team Deschiffart will take the hammer into the 6th end, tied up 3-3. We'll catch you back here as they get set up for the next end. All right, we are back in action with Leadstones here at the 2025 Curling Alberta Optimist U18 Curling Championships. We are in Leduc, Alberta, live streaming presented to you by Curling Stadium. Terren and I here to call the game. We are in the 6th end, 3 ends remaining. What a whirlwind of a 5th end. A really great outcome for, I guess, both teams. But, wow. We got a tight game here, and we've got Deschiffart with the hammer. Terren, what our team's going to be looking forward here as the end of the game is slowly drawing near?
Well, once you get into that, 6th, 7th, 8th end, it really matters as a team with hammer, having hammer in those even ends. Because now Team Deschiffart has 2 hammers to Team McMillan's 1, assuming they don't give up a steal. So if they can, in this end, hopefully get a deuce, at least score 1, they will carry the hammer into the 8th, which is a great place to be.
Now, again, just before we continue on with that conversation, because of the no-tick rule, Riley Deskiffart's first rock is being removed out of play after she ticked that red stone off the center line. And so Team McMillan with the early advantage here in being able to set up some kind of a defense against Team Deskiffart's hammer. Terren, we talked about a little bit previously at the start of this game and the start of this end in managing the scoreboard and managing that outlook towards the end of the game. And you talked about Team Deschiffart with their 2 hammer advantages. Explain to our viewers a little bit about what that looks like and what that means for Team Deschiffart moving forward.
Of course. So since we only have 3 ends to play left, and Team Deschiffart having hammer in this end, if they can try and not give up a steal and convert with their hammer, they will then have hammer again in the 8th end, and then that's obviously 2 hammers to McMillan's 1, and is a big advantage. This is often you'll hear teams talking about having hammer in the evens or hammer coming home, and it's just another thing that plays into that strategic side of the game for the skip, trying to manage not only, trying to score and trying to make your shots, but what ends you score in and what position you'll be in 2-3 ends down the road.
Now, one of the other advantages that these teams have here too, as well, is they actually have the opportunity to have their coaches out on the playing surface with them. Now, of course, not out on the ice, but you can see them behind on the dry side of the arena, as we would say it, or just behind the sheet. And their coaches are able to talk to them in between ends. And they also have coaches' timeouts where they're able to talk to their coach right there live and within kind of the context of the game. And that's also another level of complexity and an advantage for both teams, as not only are they developing, but as these games start to become more complex towards the end, too, as well. And you'll even notice if you do hang on to the live stream a little bit without the commercial break, you'll see some of the coaches come up to the hog line. Terren, what will those coaches be having conversations with their players? Now, usually in adult play, the coaches aren't a part of that conversation. But here in U18, they are. So what can these coaches add to that conversation for the teams as they continue their gameplay?
Yeah, and that's one of the major differences when you're going from juniors into men's or women's, that the coach no longer gets to speak with you every single end. It's only, 4th end break or end before and after. But a lot of times the coach is just, a third party to debrief the team. It's easy to get worked up, and when the other team has the momentum and they're scoring back-to-back ends, the coach can come out and they say, all right, guys, still in a good spot. We're tied. What's our goal next end? Let's put that last end behind us and let's just focus on this next one. We're tied. We've got the hammer, still in a good spot. Just reminding the team that what the situation is, keeping them in check and trying to keep everyone calm and focused.
So as we see it right now, we have Team Deschiffart sitting 2 rocks right in the 4-foot there, with their rock just coming a little bit heavy behind the button, leaving an opportunity here for McMillan to freeze attempt and get a redstone secure on the button. Put a little bit of pressure on Team Deschiffart. A little bit of an overcurl there for Kendall Ferguson, but it does do the job as that rock chisels off and lands right on the button in front of that yellow stone. Team Deschiffart here electing to peel away the centerline guard. So a great peel there. And Team McMillan looking to replace that center line guard. Now that last one was really high. Terren, now ideal spot for this, taking a look at the complexity of what's going on in the forefoot.
Me personally, if I was skipping here, I'd be calling for, maybe a 2.5, as we call it, in between a 2 and a 3, like a halfway guard would be ideal here, although tight does work as well.
So slowly cleaning and getting a little bit of extra curl out of this guard. Team McMillan replaces that center line guard. And a challenging look for Team Deschiffart. And Emma's really going to have to figure out how these rocks and these angles are going to land here if she makes a play on this red one.
Definitely. If they can get across that face with a soft takeout, they'll be sitting really good here, but it is a lot of risk if they run a little wide or even chip on the guard. You're giving that momentum and you're giving the power back to Team McMillan, and all of a sudden you'll be chasing again. If you can make this, you're sitting really good.
So Sarah Yarmich here with the hit jiggle, trying to get a little bit of an inside flip. And it looks like this rock is already over curling. Rolls to a corner guard. You know, Terren, I don't want to be a pessimist here, but keeping that yellow rock in play there, kind of in that corner guard position, might pose a problem if Team Deschiffart ever has to take that draw path to the side of the forefoot or the button for that extra point. So
it definitely, with how much this turn is curling, if they have to draw wide, it definitely could be in the way here, but I think Emma's going to try her best to not have to throw that and open some things up here.
So still an opportunity for Team Deschiffart to get a rock underneath and to kind of move that situation around in the forefoot. They are kind of battling a little bit of the weight selection and the curl too as well, but this looks really, really good.
That is an excellent shot there from Sarah Yarmich to open, push that back 4 rock back, unlock the red, and sitting now second, third, and fourth shot. Lots of pressure on Team McMillan here.
Well, and look at those little yellow combination there off to the side as we see it. It's all lined up onto that red one. And that combination could come into play later on if needed, but this is really rough waters for Team McMillan as they call on Tom Kitagawa for a little bit of advice here.
And I think that's what Tom was seeing there with them. They were signaling initially a guard, but if you do guard, then Emma has that lined up slash there, yellow, yellow, red, to sit 3. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a draw here from Team McMillan. And it is often said the best defense is a good offense. So if they can put another rock in the forefoot here, I think they're sitting just fine.
Now, when Charlie McMillan threw that center line guard, there is quite a bit of distance between it and the house, and there is enough room to not only play the draw, but I would maybe even be tempted to play some kind of backline or hack weight shot on the rock that Sarah Yarmich just threw. Just knowing how much curl is there too as well. trying to sweep the curl side here to get it off that yellow corner guard. It misses it, but it looks a little heavy. Chisels it back, rolls to the back 8 foot, but does rearrange and reconfigure that 4 foot situation just a little bit and makes it more buried, Terren. But also, I don't know if that yellow combo now lines up onto it.
Yeah, I don't think it does. I think it would probably brush it against the way, but the red would then just jam straight back on that yellow back 4. I think we're going to see some kind of maybe board waiter to try and get that red out there. If you can just clean pick that red to sit your 3, it's a lot of pressure on Darby McMillan to make a draw here.
Now we've seen rocks go up and down this path all end and really all game that we've been tuned in for. We know this path is going to curl. I wonder if that's in the back of Emma's mind here as she's getting ready to throw. Emma Deschiffart with her first rock here in the 6th end, looking to clean pick that red rock right off the back of the button. It looks like it's already taking some of that curl and peeling off the center line guard. I don't know if that's a bad outcome, Terren. I mean, it's obviously not the called shot, but it does make McMillan think about either replacing it. It may actually have made McMillan think about a different shot selection for this shot here.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world there, opening it up a little. You'll have some more options based on what Darby ends up doing here. But no matter what, Emma will still have the angle run for 4, which I know is difficult. I hope they see it because it's definitely high risk, high reward.
I was glad you said that, and I was hoping you were going to say that because as this end was unfolding and as that red got chiseled over, I was looking at that yellow angle too as well. So Team McMillan looking to replace the scar, but make it a little bit better by covering more of the red rock that is on the back of the button as we get a closer look at it. Just a clean in there, and does an excellent job. And now it's up to Deschiffart and how they want to approach this final shot of end number 6.
You know, Evan, with how much Emma's last curled, I think you can still get to that 1 for 3. If she throws a similar weight, maybe a control or a board, I think you still can get to that red for your 3 points.
So coach timeout here for Team Deschiffart. We have Mark Deschiffart talking to both, I believe it's Kaylin and Emma. So they are electing to play that hack weight chisel. A great opportunity to score 4 here, or to put another multiple up on the board late in the game. Emma Deschiffart, final stone here in end number 6. An opportunity to score big. Oh, and just over curls there for her, chipping off that guard. It is a steal of 1 red for Team McMillan, and Team McMillan will go up 4-3 into the 7th end here at the Optimist U18 Curling Championships in Leduc. We'll be back for the 7th end in just a hot second. So 7th end of action here for our draw number 2 featuring Team Deschiffart versus Team McMillan. If you're joining in through Curling Stadium Live, either on Curling Alberta's YouTube page or through Curling Zone's link. My name is Evan Asmussen, joined by Terren Algot, and hopefully our broadcast hasn't been too painful for you. I know Terren's doing a great job at providing you action by action detail here of our great 2 teams. We are, of course, at a pivotal moment in the 7th end with Team McMillan stealing that last point, and they take a lead of 4-3 as Riley Deschiffart hits the rock at the top of the 12-foot. Victoria Greeno being asked to draw behind the top of the 12-foot rock there, just placed by Riley Deschiffart. Comes up a little bit short, leaving the short little run back for Riley.
I quite like this call from Emma, because if you make it just right, you will end up with a corner guard as well as removing that red stone in the house. Could set them up for a good chance for 2 here.
So Riley Deschiffart just throwing it a little bit wide, chiseling that yellow rock onto the face of that red rock. Not a bad outcome, but definitely not the shot called. Riley has been struggling a little bit this game to get her rocks in good positions. And Terren, of course, with the 5-rock rule, we know how important it is for the lead position to make sure that those rocks are in a great spot. And Deschiffart has had a little bit of a challenge with some of Riley's rocks not being as precise as they could be. Nonetheless, it looks like they're doing a great job navigating it, but this does add a little bit of complexity to the 7th end for both of these teams, as our game is very tight and they're thinking about that 8th end.
Absolutely, and that 8th end being right around the corner really puts a lot more of the strategic side of the game into play, as you have to think about not only trying to get the best result of this end, but what that will mean for the next one. While scoring 1 here for Team Deschiffart isn't the worst, you would then be tied without in the last. So they really, if I were them, I'd be looking for 2 or a blank. And an excellent double there from Kaylin, leaving herself a corner guard and a rock the other side of the wings. Great setup shot.
Not 100% sure of the call, but it looks like Team McMillan is asking Kendall Ferguson to draw in just behind this yellow stone that is placed at the top of the 12-foot. Taking advantage of that big curl coming off that side of the sheet. Weight looks good. Just gets by. Slips behind the tee line to the back of the 8-foot for shot stone.
Just a ton of curl there, Evan, as we're seeing, just to get around a guard top 12 and to come out the other side even, it's just very, very curly spot there. Great rock from Team McMillan.
So Team Deschiffart was posed with an opportunity here to draw around their corner or to follow Team McMillan down and kind of choke off that red one at the back of the 8-foot, and they've elected to follow it down in that same path. I wonder if they're going to get the same curl that Team McMillan got. That stone is diving towards the yellow. It looks like it's just going to get by. Chisel off the back red, pushing it out to the side of the 12-foot and landing there at the back of the 8. I think they're actually sitting first and second too as well with how much they've moved that red stone. So again, it looks like Team McMillan and Charlie McMillan is caught in this curly path here. Just getting inside of that stretch early on in the throw, and it over curling the draw and the guard too as well. Really out of play at this point.
And we see there that Emma Deschiffart did signal that yellow is shot too when she tapped that rock with her broom. So now drawing here to sit 3. And you can just see the difference in ice she's taking for this turn, as it looks like they've figured this sheet out more, seeing that is a bit of a slant, taking much, much less ice with the in-turn here.
And Terren, you can just see as that rock is trying to climb its way towards that guard that's really having a hard time climbing uphill and catching that curl. Not a bad result, as a tiny corner of that stone gets covered by the corner guard. Does slide a little bit deep, but leaves an opportunity for McMillan to chase. Charlie McMillan with her final throw here in end number 7 hasn't had a ton of great results in the last couple of ends, looking to change that up for herself here. Unfortunately though, she's getting caught on that straight side there, and her rock goes right through that port between the two yellows, creating an opportunity for Team Deschiffart to establish another stone behind that corner guard. Now, Terren, they've seen it once already, so I'm expecting this to be pretty close here for Sarah.
Just a little heavy with that draw, but pretty good result there, going to her backing, sitting on the tee line. Yet again, we see Darby McMillan under a lot of pressure here in the 7th end, facing 4 stones.
I think trying to run the double here is probably a little too late, and best outcome is just straight nose exchange and sitting her red rock on the face of that yellow stone in the 4-foot. Calling on the sweep for curl, unable to get it to catch a little bit of curl, and Darby McMillan throws it through those yellow rocks in the house, and again another opportunity for Deschiffart to pile up the stones there on the right side of the rings. Emma Deschiffart with her first stone here in the 7th end, looking to draw around the corner guard to set up a big score opportunity here late in the game. Terren having a hard time finding the curl, but with just the right weight, it will go a little bit.
That is an excellent spot for Emma's final stone. And, you know, it's tough in these situations not to hit, especially as a young team, but you really got to say, hey, we have to draw here. And I think the only way out of this end is a perfect freeze. Well, we'll see what Coach Tom Kitagawa thinks about this situation.
So it does look, after a discussion with their coach Tom, that Team McMillan is planning on playing the freeze, but taking significantly more ice than Team Deschiffart. And I wonder if they had that conversation too as well about that straight side, or if they're seeing it the same way that Team Deschiffart is. This is do or die at this point. Final stone for Team McMillan here in the 7th end, drawing to freeze against 5 as we see it. It looks like it's having a hard time catching that curl in the straight path up. Most important here is to be shot. She is going to find the right weight and splitting the tee line there. An excellent job, best that she probably could have done at this time with that ice. And Team Deschiffart has an opportunity to have the open hit to sit 6. Final stone, Emma Deschiffart, here in the 7th end. Sweeping now to maintain the line here in that straight spot. Just like that, 6 goes up on the board for Team Deschiffart.
What an excellent sweep from Sarah Yarmuch on that one. You really, as a skip, sometimes got to thank your sweepers, because that was all sweeping on that one.
And just like that, we have handshakes here in the 7th end. Team McMillan deciding that 6 points is just too much and too much to play in that 8th end. And so Team Deschiffart will take the, oh gosh, let me do my math. We'll take the 9-4 win over Team McMillan and a 2-0 start into this event here for their provincial championship, as Team McMillan will fall to 0-2 with 5 games remaining for each. Thank you all for tuning in to the 2025 Curling Alberta Optimist U18 Curling Championship Draw 2. And thank you so much, Terren, for joining me today. We are here all week in Leduc, and through Curling Stadium, you can watch draw after draw of your favorite teams. Have a lovely evening and tune back in tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. for the draw number 3.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.